Now, you're from San Francisco originally, and, I think we're watching, you talk about anti-blackness. We're watching the actual removal of black people and black communities that used to be in San Francisco and are now gone. But I think at the same time, we're watching like a demonization of people that are not like super wealthy in San Francisco being blamed. We saw San Francisco elect a progressive district attorney who was then like taken out of the city, and it was the thinking of like, well, now he's gone, now the city's safe, but then things are still happening. So as a black person that grew up in San Francisco, like, how do you see what's happening in San Francisco right now?
So one of the things I will say is Chesa Boudin, the former district attorney who you were referring to, he was great for the city. He brought some of the first charges for officers. He was bringing forth charges for officers, and he was prosecuting cases that wouldn't normally get prosecuted against the law enforcement officials, our officers, sergeants, and so on and so forth. He was very progressive in his thinking, but because he was also using restorative justice methods rather than charging black and brown people with very severe charges.
He was showing some empathy. They was like, we got to get that out of here.
Right. They said, we've got to get him out of here. He's no good for San Francisco. And it wasn't on him, because they saw his level of awareness around white supremacy and law enforcement and how all of this functions. The police department stopped arresting people. They stopped doing their jobs. And so they created a political situation for this man where they made him the culprit or the villain.
Right.
And now you have a black woman,
yes,
who is there in that seat, who was not qualified, unfortunately, to be in that position, but she's being used as a pawn by the mayor of that city so that she
also a black woman, right?
Yes.
We have to have that conversation.
But I want to say this though.
Come on, brother.
Because it's not their fault. They're part of a system that they are required to uphold in order for them to be successful. In order for that black mayor, my sister London Breed, to be reelected, she's got to do the job that she was elected to do for the people who have political, positional, and economic power in that city, which are white and Asian people.
Yes.
So it is an anti-black city, and it doesn't matter that the mayor is black, the DA is black, the chief of police is black. They're all, in layman's terms, capping for the white and Asian people of that city. That's who they were put there to do the job for. And so there's a lot of harm that's been done to the black people in San Francisco, and that is continuing to unfold. I also founded a group called the Black Employees Alliance. You can go to blackemployeesalliance.com, which was an activist group to fight for the rights of black employees at the city and county of San Francisco, because they are being disenfranchised by the inch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that came up in San Francisco was a suggestion was made that black residents in San Francisco receive a $5 million payment each for reparations. Now, of course, this is anytime you just if reparations was $1, white people going to have a heart attack, right? But the fact that research put this together and said, due to the current economic situation in San Francisco, that they believe that reparations should include a one-time payment of $5 million for each resident. For whatever reason, I still don't know why. I guess probably PTSD, right? The San Francisco NAACP actually came out against this, which is wild to me.
But is it really? Is it really? It's the NAACP.
I mean, they're part of that same, like you said, that same system. What were you saying, Miracle?
No, I was saying I believe they were saying it wasn't enough, right?
I don't know. The NAACP was not saying that. They were saying that they didn't believe each resident should be giving a $5 million
cash payment.
Right, cash payment, that it should be connected to healthcare, these different systems. But a lot of times when you talk like that, it ends up not helping us and supporting us anyway. what do you think about, black residents in San Francisco getting $5 million each? Is that even enough?
So no, it's not enough.
Come on, brother.
This country owes us way more than that.
Yes.
And I want to bring into the discussion, if I may,
yes,
that in the same year that Lincoln was so-called emancipating enslaved black people, he signed the Homestead Acts, which provided white immigrants and white Southerners 160 acres of land for free. The conditions of that legislation, all they had to do was live on the land for 5 years and improve it in certain ways. So that would be instituting or developing a farm, or building a property on the land, or creating a town. Some of these white immigrants created townships. Okay? And so they were given 160 acres of land, and W.E.B. Du Bois in his book, Black Reconstruction, he talks about between 1862 and 1934, I believe, over 270 million acres of land was given away west of the Mississippi. Okay? And so we also have to understand that as neighborhoods are being developed in metropolitan cities across this country, they're being designated as whites-only neighborhood through ordinances, not just through property covenants. And so in 1919, the California Supreme Court upheld that racial restrictive covenants were legally binding documents.
Jeez.
And so in 1926, the Supreme Court of the United States, both in Corrigan v. Buckley and Euclid v. Ambler, upheld that both racial restrictive covenants were legally binding documents, and that cities and locales could zone by race, meaning this is an all-white neighborhood over here, this is an all-black neighborhood. Most organizations have policies that would not hire black people in certain positions, and especially not leadership. So we're talking about housing exclusion, economic deprivation. In San Francisco, I have the documentation on it. They were very complicit in it, and that you have the redevelopment movement that came after that. And so San Francisco, California, the United States owes black people way more. And what we don't bring into this conversation is the reality of white affirmative action. Everything that I've shared with you, from the laws that were implemented in the 1600s through the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, through now, is white affirmative action. Even when you look at the COVID relief package, that's called welfare for white people.
Ooh.
They distributed, the welfare for white people is called stimulus. They call it stimulus, okay? So they distribute all these millions of dollars through paycheck protection, and these white corporations don't have to pay it back. That's called welfare.
True.
And so we need to stop with this narrative and the negative halo or attitude that we have with this reparations conversation regarding black people. The reality of it all is this, and if no one wants to say it, I'm going to say it.
Come on.
White people owe us.
Yes.
So stop feeling sorry when you bring up the reparations conversation. Stop being timid. These people owe us. This country owes us. And $5 million is an insult, because the median property value in San Francisco is roughly $5 million. So no one would have any money left, even with that cash payment.